Hi, in this video we're going to talk about how computer networks work. And if you know about the basics of the computer networks, then you can safely skip this session and go on to the next video. Now, to understand in the simple term how computer network works, we can take an analogy first and find out and study about how post office network works. Now, for the post office network, we understand that say these are houses across the world, okay, and let's say that this is another continent, okay. So this is on the top we have continent one and this is another continent, or let's say state one and state two. And these post offices, they have their, for example, let me call this the post office building. Okay, this is the post office building. So if you write a letter, okay, if you write a letter and drop it in your post box, you always talk about the to and you say from. Okay, so where should this letter go to? So you have put it in address of, say, address B, and it, it it is collected from the post box that you dropped in, and it goes to the general post office or the headquarters, and then from there it is sorted to that particular state, and then it moves on to that particular local post office. So it depends upon the address to, and if it has to return, it depends upon the address from. Similarly, if it is say another continent and you're sending it to that, so it first goes to your state or continent's general post office, and then it is routed to the next state's post office, and then it is sorted to that particular address. In a similar way, we have computer network. So let's say that you have a desktop one here, or a post PC, or anything computer connected to the internet, and then in the middle there is a big world wide web, okay, with all the networks in between. So and one of the connections that you have is actually to your computer, and then you're connecting it to another one. Let's call the one on the right hand side as the server, which is again connected to the internet, to the world wide web internet, the computer networks, and you have your own as the client, which is on the left hand side. Now if you make a request to get a page, so you're sending a request. So in your request, let's put a Q here, that's a request. In your request you say that you want to visit www.google.com. okay, so this particular server, for example, is Google server. There's again an oversimplification. We don't have Google as a single server. They have multiple servers to balance the load. But for this, it's enough. Enough to assume that Google has one server. And then you make a request. That request now travels across. Okay, it goes from this place to the World Wide Web, and there's an IS internet service provider, which is similar to your say the local post office, which sends to your country's post office headquarters, which is similar to your the general post office of the country, and then it is routed to this particular computer. Okay, the required thing is that both in the case of the post office, we always had the to address and the from, and in the case of this request on the internet, we also have request from. So you want some pages to be served from here. You want, say, kind of a packet or a parcel, or in our case it's a web page. You want a web page to travel from this point and then move to from here, and you want it here, right? So you make a request for this. The request is now taken. You along with say that you are searching for some word. So let's keep that search is equal to how internet works, okay, or the news. Let's say that you look for some news here. So you take this and you make a request. You request from the Google server. It goes there, and Google server takes it, sorts the news for you, prepares the news page, and sends it back. That's how it works. So you have a request and then you have a response. These are the terms which we'll be using a lot in our mobile app development. And I should tell you, even though I have broken up the courses on my YouTube channel and this site, I have a plan. I will want to take you from your basic web development knowledge, which includes HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. From there, I want you to move on to developing mobile apps. And for that, we'll be using request and response and other ways in JavaScript, in Angular, or in other frameworks. We'll be using these terminology. So when you make a request from a page, you call it a request, and then there is a response that comes in from the server. You take this and say you get a response, and you get a response page with some news article here. That's how it works. Now as the home had an address, okay, this on the internet, every computer has an IP address. So here we come across a term called IP address. Okay, you would have seen something. You can go to whatismyip.com and you can find your IP, or just Google find my IP, and it will probably lead to a few sites that can tell you what is your IP. Okay, so just like every phone number, every phone which is connected to the phone network has a phone number. Every house, every residence has a house address. Every office has an address. Similarly, every computer has an address. And for us, it can be very simple that we can just think that this is my client computer or a mobile phone, and you have the whole World Wide Web in between, and then I'm connected via Wi-Fi to the network. Okay, and there is some other server out there which is serving me the page. This can be the simplest diagram, and it will still serve our purpose as long as we have to study the mobile app development. Okay, you can go ahead and expand this analogy of which I gave for the post office. You can also talk about the mobile networks. Every mobile phone has some number, okay, and there are millions and millions of phones out there, and each one has a unique number. And there are several mobile service providers, and they also connect among each other, and they route your call to a particular phone. That's how it works. That's how even computer networks works. And this is all we need to understand in the web and mobile app development. See you in the next video.